You're at the top of your game, millions in winnings. The biggest names in poker fear you, and your legend is set. But in poker, no one stays on top forever. From the highest of highs to losing it all, these are the legends who crumbled when the cards stopped going their way. Today, we're going to reveal the jaw-dropping stories of poker's greatest falls from grace. Russ Hamilton. Russ Hamilton's poker career started like a dream. Back in 1994, he took down the World Series of Poker main event, earning over $1 million and one of the most coveted titles in the game. Winning the WSOP main event is every poker player's dream. It's the moment where legends are born. For Hamilton, this was just the beginning. With his calm demeanor and sharp instincts, he quickly became a respected force in both tournament and cash game circles. His win even came with a unique bonus: his weight in silver, a prize that only added to his growing legend. Hamilton wasn't just a one-hit wonder. For years, he was known as a feared competitor, a man who could read his opponents like an open book. But beneath the surface of this shining poker career, there was a much darker story unfolding, one that would eventually make Hamilton infamous for all the wrong reasons. Fast forward to the mid-2000s, when online poker was exploding in popularity. Ultimate Bet was one of the biggest online poker sites at the time, and Russ Hamilton wasn't just a player, he was deeply involved behind the scenes. That's when everything began to unravel. Players started noticing something wasn't right. Massive sums of money were being lost in ways that didn't make sense. Then, the truth came out. Hamilton had been using a God mode feature, allowing him to see other players' hole cards in real time. It was one of the biggest cheating scandals in poker history. The Ultimate Bet scandal didn't just cost players millions, it shattered the trust that had been built in the growing online poker industry. Investigations revealed that Hamilton had personally benefited from this feature, stealing an estimated $22 million from unsuspecting players. What made the story even more shocking was how long it took for the full details to emerge. Hamilton's actions were methodical, calculated, and devastating to the community. He had taken a seat at poker's highest table only to be revealed as a villain in disguise. While Hamilton avoided criminal charges, his reputation in the poker world was destroyed. To this day, his name is synonymous with betrayal and dishonesty. Russ Hamilton went from the champion of the felt to one of the most despised figures in poker history. He didn't just lose respect, he lost the very thing every poker player relies on: trust. And in poker, once trust is gone, it never comes back. Chris Ferguson. Chris Ferguson was poker's version of a quiet storm, a man who rarely spoke but let his cards do the talking. With his signature long hair, black cowboy hat, and calm, emotionless demeanor, Ferguson was an icon of the game. His claim to fame came in 2000 when he won the World Series of Poker main event, taking home $1.5 million and cementing his place among poker's elite. Nicknamed Jesus for his appearance, he was a fan favorite, polite, highly intelligent, and respected both at the table and off. Ferguson wasn't just a champion at the felt, though. He was also a mathematician, someone who saw poker as a game of probabilities, angles, and strategy. His academic background gave him an edge in tournaments, and he quickly became one of the most feared competitors. By the mid-2000s, Ferguson had built a poker legacy that few could rival. 5 WSOP bracelets, millions in winnings, and a place in the poker pantheon. But then, like a house of cards, everything came crashing down. In 2011, the poker world was rocked by what's now infamously known as Black Friday, the day the US government shut down online poker sites, accusing them of illegal activities. Ferguson wasn't just a player. He was a key figure behind Full Tilt Poker, one of the largest and most beloved poker sites in the world. But the company wasn't just a place for people to play. It was a ticking time bomb. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that Full Tilt Poker had been operating more like a Ponzi scheme than a legitimate business. Player funds weren't just being held, they were being used to pay off owners and investors. Over $440 million in player money was mismanaged or simply disappeared. And at the center of it all was Chris Ferguson, alongside other big names like Howard Lederer and Ray Bitar. The fallout was catastrophic. Ferguson, once viewed as a poker genius and a true gentleman of the game, became one of the most hated figures in poker. The very players who had cheered for him at the tables now saw him as a villain, responsible for betraying the trust of millions of poker fans and players worldwide. His silence throughout the scandal only made things worse. While Lederer and others spoke publicly, Ferguson vanished, refusing to acknowledge his role for years. It wasn't until 2016, 5 years after the scandal broke, that Ferguson quietly returned to the poker scene. No apology, no explanation, just the same stoic face that had once graced poker's brightest stages. He went on to win another WSOP bracelet in 2017, but the poker community never forgot. To this day, his name is synonymous with the darkest days of online poker, and while he still competes, his legacy is forever tainted. Chris Ferguson went from the face of poker's intellectual elite to one of its most controversial figures, all due to the greed and mismanagement that left thousands of players out in the cold. The man who once had it all, fame, fortune, and respect, ended up losing what mattered most. Jamie Gold. In 2006, Jamie Gold became an overnight sensation in the poker world. He wasn't just a typical poker player grinding away at tables for years. Gold was a Hollywood talent agent who entered the World Series of Poker with a mix of charisma and confidence that made him stand out. And stand out he did. In a single event, Gold took down the biggest WSOP main event in history, walking away with a jaw-dropping $12 million, the largest prize ever awarded in a poker tournament. What made Jamie Gold's victory so captivating was his unconventional style of play. He was brash, talkative, and played mind games that unsettled his opponents. Gold talked his way through hands, convincing players to fold monster hands and giving the audience a poker performance unlike anything they had seen before. But beneath the charm and table talk, Gold was riding the wave of the poker boom, winning at the height of poker's popularity with millions of eyes watching. His win, however, came with a cloud of controversy almost immediately. Not long after his historic victory, Gold was embroiled in a legal battle over his winnings. A friend and business partner, Bruce Crispin Leiser, claimed that Gold had agreed to split the winnings from the main event in exchange for helping him recruit celebrities to play in the tournament. When Gold refused to honor the deal, Leiser sued, freezing half of Gold's $12 million prize while the courts sorted out the dispute. Gold's initial rise to fame had all the makings of a Hollywood script: charisma, luck, and a massive payout. But his fall from grace came just as quickly. The legal battle over the money dragged on, and while it was eventually settled out of court, the damage to his reputation was already done. Many questioned whether Gold's win was a fluke. His subsequent poker performances didn't live up to the hype of his 2006 victory. He failed to replicate his success, and over time, Jamie Gold's name became more associated with his legal troubles and the spectacle surrounding his win than his actual poker prowess. In the years following his WSOP triumph, Gold faded from the poker spotlight. He continued to play in tournaments but never reached the heights he had in 2006. He dabbled in various business ventures, including poker-related projects, but nothing seemed to stick. For many, Jamie Gold became a symbol of poker's unpredictability. One day you're on top of the world, and the next, you're embroiled in lawsuits and struggling to maintain your status. Despite the controversies and the questions about his poker skill, Jamie Gold's name will always be etched in history as the winner of the largest prize in WSOP main event history. But like so many before him, he found that in poker, winning big doesn't always mean staying on top. If you're enjoying these incredible poker stories, the rises, the falls, and everything in between, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Ace's Full Poker. We're always uncovering the most fascinating tales from the poker world, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Victor Bloom. In the world of online poker, few names have ever sparked as much fear, excitement, and mystery as Isildur One. At the height of poker's online boom, Isildur One appeared seemingly out of nowhere, like a ghost in the digital halls of high-stakes games. Behind the screen was Victor Bloom, a young Swedish player whose fearless, hyper-aggressive style left both fans and opponents in awe. He wasn't just a newcomer. He was an online poker sensation, and his claim to fame was nothing short of extraordinary. In 2009, Isildur One began playing in the highest-stakes games on Full Tilt Poker, taking on the likes of legends like Tom Dwan, Phil Ivey, and Patrick Antonius. And here's the thing, he wasn't just competing. He was destroying some of the best players in the world. In just a few short weeks, Victor amassed millions of dollars, making waves that reverberated through the poker community. His wild swings, enormous pots, and relentless aggression became the stuff of legends. For a moment, it looked like the mysterious Swede was untouchable. But in poker, no one is invincible. Victor's meteoric rise was followed by an equally spectacular downfall. It all started with his now infamous clash with Patrick Antonius. In one of the largest hands in online poker history, Victor lost a staggering $135 million pot to Antonius, a blow that signaled the beginning of his undoing. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. Shortly after, he played Phil Ivey and Tom Dwan, enduring massive losses that wiped out most of the fortune he had built. The fall wasn't just financial. In December 2009, the poker community was shocked to learn that several top pros had shared hand histories of their matches against Victor, using the data to gain an unfair advantage. This revelation left a stain on what had already been a brutal downswing for the young phenom. What started as an incredible ascent ended with Bloom losing over $4 million in the span of just a few weeks. Yet, despite the staggering losses and the controversy surrounding his fall, Victor's story didn't end there. His reputation as a fearless competitor never wavered. Victor eventually revealed his identity in 2011, and while the mystery was gone, his talent wasn't. He continued to play in high-stakes games, earning back respect, if not all the fortune he had once held. Victor remains one of the most captivating figures in poker. His wild roller coaster journey, from skyrocketing wins to devastating losses, serves as a cautionary tale of just how fast fortunes can change in the high-stakes poker world. His rise was meteoric, but his crash was equally swift and brutal. Gus Hansen. There was a time when Gus Hansen was considered one of the most dangerous and unpredictable players on the planet. Known as the Great Dane, Hansen's hyper-aggressive and unconventional playing style took the poker world by storm in the early 2000s. He wasn't afraid to put his opponents to the test with massive bluffs and wild plays that others wouldn't dare to attempt. His fearlessness paid off. Hansen claimed 3 World Poker Tour titles, raking in millions and earning a reputation as one of the most exciting players in the game. Hansen's poker brilliance seemed unstoppable. By 2004, he was inducted into the WPT Walk of Fame, and his unpredictable tactics had garnered him a devoted fan base. Unlike many players who followed a conservative, math-based approach, Hansen relied heavily on his instincts, his reads, and his raw ability to apply pressure. This strategy helped him secure several 7-figure tournament wins, propelling him to superstardom in the poker community. His fearless nature made him a dangerous opponent, but also an entertaining one. People tuned in just to see what crazy move Gus would pull next. However, with high-risk poker comes high volatility. For Hansen, the swings weren't just part of the game, they were his trademark. While his aggressive style won him millions, it also led to staggering losses. Hansen transitioned from the tournament scene to the world of high-stakes cash games, where the stakes were even more brutal. Playing in games with blinds so high they'd make most players sweat, Hansen found himself losing millions almost as fast as he had earned them. Between 2009 and 2014, Hansen experienced some of the most brutal swings ever seen in poker history. His losses in online poker alone were staggering. Tracking sites like HighStakesDB reported that Hansen lost more than $20 million on full-tilt poker over the span of just a few years. His swings became legendary, not for their size, but for their sheer relentlessness. Even as other top players started to tighten up and play safer, Hansen continued to push the envelope with his fearless yet often reckless style. Despite his deep losses, Hansen remained a figure that fascinated poker fans. He wasn't just a player, he was a character, always smiling, always upbeat. Gus never let his massive swings affect his love for the game. In interviews, he maintained that poker was a long-term game, and he wasn't too concerned about the temporary downs. But for many, his losses were hard to ignore. He had gone from being poker's golden boy to its cautionary tale. In recent years, Hansen has largely stepped away from the public poker scene, though he still occasionally appears in high-stakes games around the world. His legacy, however, remains twofold. On one hand, he's remembered as one of the most exciting and innovative players the game has ever seen. On the other hand, his monumental losses have made him a poster child for the dangers of the high-stakes lifestyle. Gus Hansen's story serves as a reminder that, in poker, fortune can turn on a dime. One moment you're at the top of the world. The next, you're facing losses that most can't even fathom. For Gus, it was always all or nothing. And sometimes, that gamble didn't pay off. Scotty Nguyen. Scotty Nguyen is a name that's impossible to ignore in the world of poker. With his infectious smile, unmistakable charisma, and iconic catchphrase,
"You car gonna be all over, baby."
Nguyen became one of poker's most beloved and recognizable figures. Born in Vietnam and moving to the United States as a teenager, Scotty's rise to fame wasn't just a poker success story. It was the story of chasing the American dream. In 1998, he reached the pinnacle of poker by winning the World Series of Poker main event, pocketing $1 million and instantly earning legendary status. Known as the Prince of Poker, Nguyen wasn't just skilled. He was a showman. His table talk, his fun-loving attitude, and his ability to charm both his opponents and the audience made him a fan favorite. Nguyen didn't just play poker, he made poker entertaining. Over the years, he added more WSOP bracelets to his collection, cementing his legacy as one of the game's true greats. But for Scotty, poker wasn't just a career, it was his life. And when you live your life on the poker felt, the stakes can get dangerously high. While Scotty's early success was meteoric, the cracks began to show as the years went on. Behind the scenes, Nguyen struggled with alcohol abuse, a demon that would eventually catch up with him in the most public and embarrassing way possible. In 2008, at the prestigious WSOP $50,000 HORSE Championship, Nguyen's battle with alcohol was on full display. During the tournament's final table, a heavily intoxicated Scotty verbally lashed out at other players, tournament staff, and even fans. What should have been a crowning moment for the Prince of Poker turned into a disaster as the poker world watched his unprofessional and erratic behavior unfold. Despite winning the event and earning over $1.9 million, the victory was overshadowed by his drunken tirade. The poker community, once enamored with Scotty's charm and fun-loving attitude, turned sour. His reputation took a serious hit, with many fans and players alike losing respect for the once revered figure. Scotty had gone from the life of the party to the player no one wanted to sit next to. But Nguyen's struggles weren't just confined to that one infamous moment. The years that followed were marked by inconsistency, both on and off the felt. While he still managed to post respectable results in tournaments, it became clear that his personal battles were affecting his game. His once dominant presence at the tables began to fade, as did his place among poker's elite. In recent years, Scotty has made efforts to clean up his image and address his issues with alcohol. He's spoken candidly about his struggles and has worked to rebuild his legacy. But the damage was done. The poker world remembers Scotty for his rise to the top, his incredible personality, but also for the fall that followed. Scotty Nguyen's story is a reminder that poker isn't just a game of cards. It's a game of life. And sometimes, the greatest challenges aren't the hands you're dealt at the table, but the battles you face off of it. Flack. Flack was one of the brightest stars in poker during the early 2000s, known for his quick wit, aggressive play style, and his remarkable ability to bounce back from adversity, earning him the nickname Back to Back. Lane's story began like many poker legends, grinding his way through local card rooms and cash games before making it big on the national stage. His breakout came in the early 2000s when he won multiple World Series of Poker bracelets in rapid succession, putting him on the radar as one of poker's rising stars. What made Flack so captivating was his relentless and fearless style. Whether it was tournament poker or cash games, Lane was always pushing the action. He had an innate ability to get into his opponents' heads, making big plays when others would shy away. His competitive fire led to 6 WSOP bracelets, with wins that spanned different poker disciplines, proving he wasn't just a one-trick pony. He became a regular on poker television, competing in high-stakes events, and fans were drawn to his laid-back charm and his seemingly unshakable confidence. But behind the scenes, Flack was battling personal demons that would eventually lead to his undoing. His success came with a heavy dose of the high-stakes poker lifestyle, late nights, wild parties, and the fast-living world of gambling. Flack's life off the felt was as aggressive as his play on it, and soon, his battle with substance abuse began to overshadow his poker career. His addiction to drugs and alcohol became an open secret in the poker community, with Lane himself acknowledging in interviews that the party lifestyle was getting the best of him. Flack's roller coaster lifestyle led to inconsistent results at the poker tables. His once dominant performances became more erratic, and as his personal life spiraled, so did his poker career. While Flack had always been known as the comeback kid, capable of bouncing back from downswings, the struggles with addiction proved a far tougher battle. He would disappear from the poker scene for long stretches, only to return briefly, win a big tournament, and then fade again. The cycle repeated itself throughout his career. In interviews, Flack often admitted that he lived life on the edge, and while he loved poker, the temptations that came with it were hard to resist. Despite winning millions throughout his career, Flack's personal struggles prevented him from ever fully capitalizing on his immense talent. His later years were marked by sporadic appearances and a growing sense that his best days were behind him. Tragically, in 2021, Lane Flack passed away at the age of 52, reportedly due to a drug overdose. His death shocked the poker world and left many reflecting on the incredible talent that was lost too soon. Lane was a player who could have easily become one of the greatest of all time, but his personal battles always seemed to get in the way. Lane Flack's story is one of brilliance and heartbreak. He was a player who could electrify the poker table, but the highs of the game came with dangerous lows. His legacy, while tainted by personal struggles, will always be remembered for his fearless play and his ability to make comebacks, no matter how deep the hole. Paul Magriel. Paul Magriel, known to many in the poker world as X22, wasn't just a poker player. He was a mathematical genius. Before his poker career took off, Magriel was regarded as one of the best backgammon players in the world. His mastery of the game earned him the title of World Backgammon Champion in the late 1970s, and he went on to write some of the most influential books on backgammon strategy. His ability to break down games into pure math and probability set him apart, and it was only a matter of time before he applied that same brilliance to poker. When Magriel transitioned into poker, he brought his deep analytical skills to the table. He had a unique ability to calculate odds and make decisions based on the cold, hard numbers, often outthinking and outmaneuvering his opponents. But Magriel was more than just a serious competitor. He was a quirky and eccentric character who quickly gained attention in the poker world for his odd behaviors, like exclaiming "quack, quack" when making a bet. His strange antics, combined with his undeniable talent, made him a cult figure in poker. Magriel's mathematical mind helped him cash in at multiple WSOP events, but his successes at the poker table never matched the heights he reached in backgammon. While he certainly made a name for himself in the poker community, the game never seemed to offer the same spark that backgammon had for him. Despite this, Magriel became a regular figure in the poker scene throughout the 2000s, even as his results began to dwindle. But behind the quirky exterior and genius-level intellect, Magriel's personal life was anything but smooth. As time went on, it became clear that he was struggling, both financially and personally. Despite his accomplishments, Magriel was reportedly living in poverty toward the end of his life, often spotted wandering the streets of Las Vegas. He was a far cry from the brilliant backgammon champion who once held the gaming world in awe. Magriel's struggles with finances were a mix of poor decision-making and the volatility that comes with gambling. Unlike many of his poker contemporaries, Magriel didn't amass huge winnings or sponsorships. His decline became an unfortunate symbol of the brutal reality that not everyone in the poker world lives a life of fame and fortune. For Magriel, the thrill of the game was always more important than the money, an admirable trait, but one that left him without the safety net many of his peers enjoyed. Tragically, in 2018, Paul Magriel passed away at the age of 71. His death marked the end of a remarkable yet often heartbreaking story. In many ways, Magriel was a genius who couldn't quite find his place in the world of poker, but his contributions to backgammon and his memorable presence in poker will never be forgotten. Paul Magriel's story serves as a reminder that even the most brilliant minds can struggle in the high-stakes world of gambling. For every success story, there's a tale of someone who, despite their talents, faced challenges far greater than the game itself. David "Chino" Ream. David "Chino" Ream is one of poker's most talented yet controversial figures, a player whose incredible skills at the table have often been overshadowed by his personal struggles off of it. Chino's poker career took off in the mid-2000s, and by 2008, he was a force to be reckoned with. His breakout moment came when he made the final table of the World Series of Poker main event, finishing 7th and pocketing over $1.7 million. Ream's combination of strong instincts, fearlessness, and technical skill put him on the map as one of poker's rising stars. But his success didn't stop there. In 2011, Ream solidified his place in poker history by winning the inaugural Epic Poker League main event, taking home an additional $1 million. With millions in winnings and a resume that boasted appearances at poker's most prestigious final tables, Ream had all the makings of a poker legend. However, Behind the scenes, Ream was struggling with a darker issue: gambling debts. Despite his massive tournament wins, Ream developed a reputation for borrowing large sums of money from fellow poker players and failing to pay them back. These debts were more than just rumors. They became well known in the poker community. Fellow pros, such as Justin Bonomo, publicly called him out for his unpaid loans, leading to a serious hit on Ream's reputation. Ream's debts didn't just harm his relationships with other players, they cast a shadow over his entire career. No matter how successful he was at the tables, the controversies surrounding his financial behavior were never far behind. His involvement in the Epic Poker League even came under scrutiny when the league declared bankruptcy shortly after Ream's victory, leaving many wondering if his debts were somehow connected to the league's financial collapse. Despite the controversies, Ream remained a dangerous opponent on the felt. In 2013, he won the WPT World Championship, earning another $1.1 million, and yet again showing the world that when it came to pure poker talent, he was among the best. But even with these high-profile wins, Ream's personal life continued to be marred by his financial irresponsibility. The constant cycle of winning big, accruing debts, and struggling to pay them off made it difficult for him to shake the negative image that had grown around him. Chino Ream's story is one of incredible highs and equally dramatic lows. His natural talent and undeniable skill at the poker table are overshadowed by his struggles with addiction, gambling debts, and controversy. While he's proven time and time again that he can compete at the highest levels of the game, his personal demons have kept him from fully capitalizing on his potential. Today, Ream continues to play, but his legacy remains complicated. He is a reminder that in poker, talent isn't always enough. The game may offer the allure of fortune and fame, but without discipline off the felt, even the best players can find themselves on the brink of ruin. And there you have it, the incredible and sometimes tragic stories of poker's greatest falls from grace. From legendary victories to devastating downfalls, these players remind us that in the world of poker, the game isn't over until the last chip is played. But it's not just the cards that matter, it's how you play the hand you're dealt, both on and off the felt. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of poker's most famous rises and falls, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Ace's Full Poker. For more high-stakes drama, make sure to check out our last video on the Game of Gold, where we explore the reality poker show that changed the game and the unforgettable moments that kept players and fans on the edge of their seats.